Checker was talking to me. She goes, "We're getting close to the hot season. It's like 95 outside." And I said, "Well, I lived in the high desert, 120 degrees, 0% humidity." And she goes, "Okay, well then you'll be all right."
I think there's the live stream. Oh, come on.
I think so. And here we are at the Chloe Sanctuary. A few things got added. Sugar, you're not impressed by anything today, Sugar.
Is she not?
Well, she's just preening. She could. She's
I
ignoring
thought
the toy.
there was an interesting glance over to you and the camera, and when you started talking to us. So
Yeah,
hello and welcome, chatters, and every other person who is watching.
So we've got 2 new perches in here that were donated, and then so they have more places to play and more places to hide from me if they don't want to listen to me. I'm talking about Bob when I say that. Hey, Bob.
Is Bob in there?
Yeah, he's right here. I am now taking away all the things that Mander loves to play with and tear up. I'm taking them away from him for a while now, because he's nesting so much he doesn't want to come out of his cage. So he's got hanging toys, but I'm not allowing him to have anything that he can tear up on the bottom of his cage. He's going nesting crazy. So you having fun over there, Cecil?
Has the Cecil fun?
He's making music.
So we've got some chat friends. We've got Erin and Basia. Say hello, both of you guys.
Basia is telling us that she has also 2 twos.
2 twos.
Now the interesting question is what 2s are.
Which 2 twos?
Which 2 twos? Or maybe it's 2 different.
There's the Desmond 2-2. The 2-2 that the Army officer wore in the ruling class. Yes, JJ?
Don, you sound a little bit quiet when you speak.
Because someone is making noise. That's condenser noise.
Okay, someone is probably screaming, and therefore Don is kind of muted. Basia says it's a goffin and a citron. And that's cool.
There's a hawk out there circling. That's what he's yelling about.
That's why he's at the window. Hawk alarm. Oh my God, we haven't had that in a time.
Yeah, the filters I put on the windows make it impossible to see out of them most of the time with a camera. But yeah, it's close to the house and it's circulating. He's keeping a close eye on it. They can't get you, big guy. Good boy, though. Good boy. Good boy, KK. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know, KK. None of the other birds respond to him yet with an alarm call. They don't know his alarm from his normal screech. So, you okay over there, KK? They won't get you. That's all right. You can see the way he's trying to get it where you can see him. You can see how he's positioning himself. He's like hiding back away from the window. I don't blame him.
So, and GTH 042 joined us. Hello and welcome.
Hey, GTH. You okay now, KK? You all right? You all right? Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was a hawk. Yep, hawk. Hawk. Yeah, the UV film I have on the windows does something funny when you take a camera and try to point it that way. It just blurs the image of the window. But it cuts the heat that comes through, especially in the winter. We get the winter heat through those windows. Yeah, it's nice to have these. There's the same rescuer out of Las Vegas that found a bigger cage for Snowball, so I'm gonna pay $250 for the cage, and then I can't get there, so they're gonna transport it, and I'm gonna give them whatever they want for transport costs because it's like a 4-hour trip. It's an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, but then you got to take the cage apart, put it in the vehicle, and all that. So, but it's a 44 by 30 by 6 foot cage. That's the actual living area inside of it, and he's in a 36-inch cage, which is just too small. I'd like to get him one of those big king's cages the other birds have, but I mean, the prices have skyrocketed. And it's not the people at King's Cage's fault either, so. Right, Cecil? Are you having fun? Am I
So
bothering you?
Cockatoo and Michelle Thompson joined us.
Hello, Falcon Sue and Michelle. I'm feeling a little better today, folks, so I'll be a little more awake and aware about what's going on. Now, so I have to focus on the birds as intently because my normal observation skills are back. Right, Snowball? He started playing with he's playing with lids now. I got some mason jar lids for him. And he's throwing them around. So get him into a bigger cage, big enough to put in a real frisbee. And he'll start playing with a real frisbee. Then I can start showing him off in here. This will be a fun place to throw a frisbee. Right, Snowball? Snowball. Snowball.
No Snowball.
Sleeping Jasmine and sleeping Pippa. Lucy. I put her up there, and the first thing she did was get all grumpy about that toy hanging there. Why is there something hanging near me?
Well, you can play with it.
Yeah, she started playing now, which is she's never really done much of that. She'll play a little bit. There's a few little toys you can make, mostly foot toys, but well, Pippa, can put you back in the other room so you won't sneeze so much. But humidity is not quite high enough in this room. That big humidifier works, but it doesn't migrate this way much. So humidity in here is probably about 30%. I don't know what it is outside, probably about 15 by now. The living room's 45, so. I'm looking forward to getting that cage for. What are you doing over there? I just can't trust this guy. I can trust him to care about me, but I can't trust him what he's going to do. His behavior is just a little off all the time, isn't it, Bob?
What the Bob? Never.
He's cute.
Who is telling that? He's completely wrong. The Bob is such a good boy.
Bob never does anything wrong.
It'll lift. No, he does things that are inappropriate, but he doesn't know that. So, do you, Bob?
I think for a Triton, it's super appropriate.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine for his species, but they're the troublemakers of the cockatoo world, I think. The Tritons. Are you a troublemaker, Bob?
Trouble with Tritons.
Oh, that doesn't sound too good. Basia Kilgrave tells us, or has a question for Don. and saying, my Goffin picks his face and draws blood and tastes it.
That's an unusual start for feather destructive behavior, but that's what it is. It all depends on how frequently and how severe it is. You have to, wherever he cuts himself, you got to get something like Silvadene on there. Go to your avian vet and get whatever they recommend for skin wounds. But you're going to have to add, there's a number of factors. If you can stop the feather destructive behavior before it gets too bad, then you may not have to use medicine, because you're looking at Haldols, the only thing that stops a bird from self-mutilation. But if you can give them more toys, and there's a caveat there too, because it's like with salamander right now. If you give him more toys, he just nests more intensely, and you can tell that we don't say his hormones are getting stronger or something, because you can't read their blood, but his mating behavior is out of control right now. I mean, he's just constantly wanting to tear things up. So I have to stop giving him those toys and just hang toys up for him. So some birds will try to mate with hanging toys. So it's going to be a problem. You're going to find something that occupies them, that they can tear up, toys that can be torn, shredded. There's a lot of those out there that are meant specifically for getting them to chew on. So I would look into putting more of those in there. Make sure he's not doing anything that's mating type behavior with any of the toys he does have, because that will make the condition worse. Hormones don't cause picking behavior, but they can be one of the, I'm looking for a specific word, no one come to me, but it can be a setting event. Okay, if the hormones if their mating behavior is way up, then it's easier for them to get into that kind of behavior. It's not the cause of it, but it makes it easier. It's kind of like this, it's much easier to swim when you're near a swimming pool or near the ocean or a lake, right? So if their hormones are up, which we can't see, so if they are exhibiting a bunch of mating type behaviors, then at that point they're standing next to the pool. And in this case, the pool is the self-mutilation. And what happens is they get anxiety, and when they hurt themselves, then it releases the endorphins in the system and makes them feel better. So just like the people who slice their wrist and go dial 911. Well, they wanted to kill themselves when they slit their wrist, but now they're calling 911. That's because of endorphins. Their system, the balance of their endocrine system, the way it works, is different than ours, but it still mirrors that one behavior. So, and another thing is, don't draw attention to the behavior. If you see your bird doing that, don't rush over and stop them. You're going to have to wait until, do something that will draw their attention that's not overt, such as if by changing the channel on the television, but I can do that because I don't watch TV, but if or putting on something like music, if that draws their attention away without letting them know you're paying attention to it, that'll help. Because if you try to stop them, that becomes a reinforcer for the behavior too. Yeah, it's complicated. I mean, that's what I deal with. I mean, I can point you out, there is a mutilator. Okay. Feather destructive, not mutilation, but feather destructive. Just in that case, he doesn't have that problem. He will pick a little bit, but I've not had to give him drugs yet. Heavy mutilator will die without medicine. Bob doesn't. He's just in that case. And there's another one over there. So, and Snowball picks his chest. So they're all on drugs. I think I'm going to be able to get KK off. I think KK is going to come off drugs. I've got him down to 0.04. And he seems to be fine. So The hardest step is the last 4 notches, though, because that's where you have to wean them off it so that their whole world doesn't change around them, and they start doing things you don't want them to do, like hurt themselves. But I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, she says, thanks for the info. He's going to the vet.
Yeah, that's another thing. He needs to go to the vet. Not all vets understand about this, about feather destructive. So
I also posted a link of Jennifer Selig's webpage for animal training, because I think that's a good source for when it comes to getting into parrot training. And yeah.
Well, on top of learning how to work with your bird and making them feel, the main point of that kind of training is, actually there's 2 of them. One is that everybody's concerned about is getting them to not do behaviors you don't want them to do. And the other one is to give them the feeling that they have control. So you teach them to do the right things and be happy that they did. That's what you teach them to do. And it's not the way Jennifer Zelig teaches it. It's pretty easy. But I mean, these are not freshman courses in class in adult school, or I shouldn't say they're not adult school classes. We're talking, sophomore and above, graduate level classes too, in working with behavior. So it's much more complex. I think you could learn how to build an atomic bomb better than you could learn how to work with birds that have feather destructive behavior, or just work with them in general, because behavior is the most complex thing we know. So,
and atomic bombs are pretty simple. You just get loads of uranium and throw it in a big pile.
Okay, and now I think the US government will certainly watch our stream.
Now the Chloe Sanctuary is banned from YouTube.
yeah.
Not banned, but
We're on the watch list.
You are allowed to use that word without a problem. But I mean, you can say that, you can say atomic bomb, but yeah, behavior is the most complex thing we have to deal with. So it's like when I brought in KK, and I was talking to someone who had him in a rescue before, and she was saying, "Oh, I wouldn't give him a box," because she saw that I had him in a box. I saw a little video, and I said, because she was saying, "I'll make him aggressive." I said, "Just the opposite." I said, "Yes, in most cases, 9 out of 10, I would not recommend somebody to give mating. I got to change my position here. Mating, anything that inspires mating behavior. But in this case, what happens is, like, right now, he's kind of being part of us. He's looking out the window to make sure that hawk isn't there anymore. But he's kind of, when he starts to feel stressed because he's among a bunch of birds he doesn't know, and this is just conjecture, of course, we can't know exactly what he's thinking, but he'll go down and play on the box, and then he'll come back up and try to get closer to the birds, and then he'll go back and play in the box. He's not just staying in the box. He did that for the first few days he was here because he was so nervous, but now he uses it like a Linus on the security blanket from Peanuts. Okay, that's his little security
blanket for Peanuts.
Yeah. Linus in the cartoon Peanuts. Yeah, he's security blanket. So that's his security blanket. He'll go down there when he's done with trying to deal with the social situation. These are social animals, and it's got to be distressing to him that there's all these birds around here, and he doesn't know how to approach them. This one is our little star when it comes to approaching birds, though. He keeps approaching him, and every time he does it, there's less of a negative reaction. There's not much in the way of lunging anymore. He'll sit he'll stick close to Cecil, but like everybody else, he's learned, you don't sit next to Cecil when he has a toy. But
yeah, KK will get there. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah,
He's doing great. He's just, but you have to build that bond of trust, and that means that you have to trust to a certain level too. I know there are many times when I reach in there, pet him or something, most people will pull their hands right out because he'll turn and he'll open his beak, and I'll just keep going to pet him. He's not threatening me. He's just opening his beak because he's a little surprised I'm reaching in to pet him. That's all. I had the former caretaker who had him for a few years, and she rehomed him, and then she rehomed him died here, and I was trying to take him out so that she could hold him, and he did not want to come out of his cage. Now, I can't know this for sure, but she said it. I didn't. She said he probably didn't want to come out because he's afraid he's going to be taken away. So that was my guess. But again, you can't get in their minds. All you can do is deal with their behavior. So, I mean, you can have whatever fantasy you want about what you think they're thinking, but you deal with whatever the behavior is. And that's why right now, Salamander is not getting, he's frantic about getting something to chew on. It's down in a nesting area, and I won't give it to him. So I have to deal with whatever he does, and he's off the medicine right now. And if he starts plucking, I had to put him back on it, but he's got to be willing to come out and socialize. He can't just stay in the cage because it will make him aggressive to do that. If they become too, in most cases, if they get their mating behavior up and it gets too high for too long, then they start snapping and trying to bite and that kind of thing because they just want to protect their nesting site. So you done with that now, Cecil? Cecil?
What are you gonna do next, Cecil?
What's up, Cecil? Gonna fly over here? It's only a foot away, foot and a half.
I don't think he's gonna.
All the other birds, no, don't tell him how to fly.
he'll be a monster when he learns to fly. Unstoppable.
Well, I might, when winter comes around, I'll probably take them out in aviator harnesses and that extended leash they have and get them all to fly.
That'll be fun.
I got enough property to do that now here. Everybody keeps telling me I should rent that section over there for the people who like to. There are people, I've got a section over there because this is an acre, but I've got a section over there that has water, it has sewer, all that stuff. And they say you can get $600 a month for somebody parking their RV there. And there are people who are crazy enough to want to go out into the desert when it's 135 degrees in Death Valley and ride motorcycles.
German people.
But, yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. But my first handyman here, he's disappeared. He's done the front shuffle. He's gone. I think he went back to Florida, but he's been here for 7 or 8 years. And so I'm thinking about going to Florida, and then he was just gone. But he was saying that he says, they'll be there for like 4 months, 3 or 4 months, and and bring in some income. Well, that would be nice. I speak a little German, but 135 degrees, running around in a motorcycle. Well, around here, you see people, it's 100 degrees out, and it's not hot yet, but you see people, it's 100 degrees, and they're riding bicycles. It's like in the heat. And then there's the postal people that drive around in a postal vehicle, and it's 110, 115 degrees. And how about the people that work on the roads? I would have thought we have one section of road here they've been working on it for like a month after I got here, and they're still working on it. And they have to dig way down because the ground here is pretty soft, so soft clay. So I dug down looks like I dug down about 15 feet, and then they have to backfill it and pound it down, and then but they've been working on that section of a road that's maybe, I'm trying to think, a couple of blocks. That's about it. They've been working on it for months now, and it's not done. I just bypass. I didn't go that way anymore. I just go the other way. Because if you have to ride 15 miles an hour and it's bumpity bump the whole way. But
well, we have
Look
a
at that
couple more.
shooty.
We have a couple more friends in the chat. We have Mel and Tahors. I did that in a French accent because I assumed you were French for some reason, but I've no idea. But hello, Mel, and hello, Tahors.
hello. Snowball. Snowball. I get Jasmine to look at me. Jazz. Jazzy bird.
So you
Jasmine.
probably then take 50% more than the average for German. I hope, you know, for the
What's
annoying factor.
No.
I'll never underestimate the how annoying German tourists can be. So
Oh, they're nothing like American tourists. If you'd seen the that episode of Faulty Towers where they have the ugly American, I have seen that kind of behavior. I've seen that behavior here.
Yeah,
sorry,
we've seen
sweetheart.
it by being European.
Yeah, it's
Like-
it's just like they expect everything just handed to them. You know, it's just silly. But
the thing that gets me is when you get American tourists in Paris or something, and then like they can't comprehend that it's like a first world country, so they're carrying around like folding garden chairs and sort of gallon tanks of like drinking water and stuff, and it's like you're in Paris, you just go to a cafe.
yeah, well, I had a friend when I was going to college who was taking French who went over there and came back and he was all angry. He said they wouldn't even talk to me. He went to Paris and he said they wouldn't even talk to me. He said my French wasn't perfect, so I wasn't allowed to speak it. He said so I went over there for basically no reason at all because he wanted to practice his language. And he said they wouldn't talk to me. He said so I made a side trip to Germany, and he said I don't know that much. He'd only been taking, I think he'd taken 2 semesters of German, so he didn't know that much. But he said, and they were all friendly and nice. And he said, I'm changing my major to German.
But did
But,
the
you know,
Germans actually let him speak German though? Because when I've been to Germany, they don't. Like they all want to speak English.
He said that if he tried to speak German to him, they listened to him. But he said he listened and tried to figure it out. They told him he could speak English, if that, you know, but in France it was like, no, you're not going to speak French to us because you're butchering the language. Is the feeling he got. So he changed his major to German. Are you laughing, Bob? Do you think that's funny? Do you know what I said? No. He's got the funniest laugh though.
I love Bob's little laughs.
Snidely whiplash laugh. Now, the other thing too is it depends where you go. Big cities are not terribly friendly usually. So, I mean, there's exceptions to that. I think probably Damascus is an exception to that. But I mean, there are cities that are bigger cities that are friendly. But a lot of times when you cram that many people into one place, it's like when you cram too many mice into one cage, they eat each other. So, a horrifying fact I found out as a 6 or 7-year-old who was trying to raise mice. And these guys, if you try to leave them in small cages and get them to lay eggs, they'll break the eggs. They won't even try. So I don't think they like being in captivity much. What are you doing? You're stalking over there? Is that the KK stalking walk? KK, what you doing, big boy?
We have a question or a couple of stories in chat. The first is, I think, from Mel, who asked, did he say bonjour first? It's already a couple of times in chat, so I don't really know to what it refers. So if it is to your friend who was or Eleanor?
Yeah, I think I'm assuming, like, if you tried to speak to the French people, did you say bonjour before trying to speak and say anything else to them? I guess.
Well,
It's like always
Well,
say
he was.
hello.
Yeah, I think he was. He was
yeah,
reinforced
in France, it's like when you're in Paris or in certain areas around there, so more in the north or so, I think that's where the prejudice comes from, that they not that friendly. I think it's completely different in the south. So
and the
they are
rural,
super
the rural area.
friendly, nice people.
In the rural areas of most countries, you're going to find friendly people. When you get to urban, it's different.
I have a counter example from here in Germany.
Yeah, I can think of some places with some very unfriendly rural locals.
Oh.
Well, I've been to Los Angeles downtown, and I've been to San Diego downtown, and it's not terribly friendly there. It just isn't. I lived in the small rural areas like Fallbrook. It's a little friendlier. Not like it is here. Here, everybody talks to everybody. Except around your house. You know, you go to the store and you're looking at something, and somebody walks up, and you just start talking. It's the way it is here. Maybe it's the common fact that we live in a broiler, but you found a toy up there, did you, KK?
Mm-hmm. Is Bobble still on the floor?
Yep.
Good boy.
You're trying to be brave,
actually,
Bob?
For Bob, it's a progress when he's not constantly in your lap.
I wouldn't go in there if I were you.
Is he trying to make friends with KK?
Right now he's trying to steal a piece of wood, but KK let him do it. There actually are other pieces of wood here, Bob, you can get that are not already partially chewed, but
There comes the Bob.
Probably.
GTH is telling a story in chat. He says, two of us unintentionally insulted a French-Irish pub owner bad enough to leave. The bartender was left with a pub full of people during the World Cup. Yeah. Happens. French-Irish, that's an interesting combination.
So was the man French and he owned an Irish pub, or was the man like half French and half Irish? That's the question. Oh, that's a question.
Watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that. You can chew on my thumb, but don't chew so hard.
So a big Cecil fan has entered the chat. Lisa Banerjee is here, and she says she is babysitting a dog.
Babysitting a dog.
Mm-hmm.
She'd rather babysit Cecil.
Yeah. Cecil's he's fun, aren't you, Cecil? Yeah, you're always fun.
Yeah, I think I'd like to be babysat by Lisa. He'd have lots of fun hanging out with a new friendo.
He's good at making friends. There's one person who comes over from the other rescue in town. Snowball really loves her. But she's been dealing with macaws and that kind of stuff for a while. So she's not that comfortable with the cockatoos anymore. But he just wants to get out and be held, and she's like, maybe not yet.
I think the cockatoos are a lot more straightforward in their body language than the true parrots, at least to my eyes.
I agree. No, it's a totally different thing. When you're looking at a true parrot, you're watching their eyes and the feathers behind their neck. When you're watching the cockatoo, there's a whole bunch of different behaviors, but it's pretty obvious when they want to know you. Pretty obvious. I don't have a problem with the true parrots. Again, I mean, in that they'll come over to me and they seem to like me right away, but it is harder to read them. And I don't think cockatoos change their mood as quickly. You can watch an Amazon go from being playful into being territorial and just snap. They're there. These guys, it takes a little more. You'll see them stop, and then their eyes will go oval, and then you'll watch the feathers on the back of their neck go up, not the crest, just the feathers on the back of the neck. And then you see them posture, but you can see all that happened, except for the crest part. See all that happened on an Amazon in just a snap. Cockatoos seem to go through their mood shifts a little slower, except when they're first getting used to a new place. But,
Oh my sweeties.
yeah, he just wants to.
So we got more information about the bartender. GTH says, yes, a very French owner of not the bartender, the owner. Yes, a very French owner of an Irish pub. And he has obviously ordered an Irish car boom, and the guy got offended on another culture's behalf. Mm-hmm.
French owner of an Irish pub, that's different.
I think we in Germany, we have some things we could offend badly the French. So when you come to Germany, so you can order a Weinschorle, which is kind of wine mixed with soda, half. And I think the French would be like, you mix wine? Please don't.
Is that what's called a spritzer when it's wine and fizzy water?
What do I mean?
So if you mix wine with water, if it's fizzy water, is that called like a spritzer?
It can be, but that's usually more when you mix something with Aperol. So this is called like Aperol Spritz.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this is really called like not Apfelschorle, but Weinschorle.
Yeah, Apfelschorle. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spritzer is also that isn't really that it has completely defined meaning. So you have to look what the restaurant means by it, but yeah. It's Aperol Spritz or things like that, or Spritzer usually refers to it that some prickling soda is put in.
So GTH says that a car bomb is Guinness and whiskey. So I guess it's like a Jaeger bomb. So like you put the shot. So when you have a Jaeger bomb, I think it's a shot of Jägermeister and you put it inside a glass of Red Bull, isn't it? So I guess for the car bombs, you put the shot of whiskey inside the glass of Guinness.
Yeah, my grandmother would say, you mix something into your whiskey? She used to take a shot of Jack Daniels and then follow it with a chaser, another shot of Jack Daniels. I never saw that woman drunk. Nor did I ever win a match, I should say. A full game of canasta. Never won one against her. There's no way. She knew it where every card was. Amazing.
Guinness and whiskey.
Guinness and whiskey.
No, it's Budweiser. You have that opinion about.
Yeah, I have another name for it. The last part is wiper. The only time I've ever had.
I wonder if they make a different beer for you Americans.
Yeah, Budweiser in the US is a different thing from Budweiser in
town with I think they have a good beer over to the US, and the US is like, so no thanks, but
no, the stuff that comes in a can that says Budweiser here, I wouldn't touch.
No, it's something different. There's a question from Lisa for you, Don. So
Okay.
she wants to know, what does it mean if your parrot is trying to regurgitate, but nothing doesn't come up?
Are you talking about regurgitating for you? You're talking about a mating behavior?
So Lisa says, does it mean anything bad if your parrot is trying to regurgitate, but nothing comes up? Rico did this an hour ago.
I need to know what the circumstances around the regurgitation are. Is the parrot being held? Has the parrot been petted? Is the parrot sitting on her arm? Well, I need to know more.
So she says, I was outside, I walked in and saw him do this.
If he did it on seeing you and it was a mating behavior, that's not unusual. I just watch it. If the difference between regurgitating and throwing up is that usually the throwing up, they're sick. Because regurgitating, it's a mating behavior.
That's the thing. They sometimes want to actually feed their favorite human, but then they realize, oh, that isn't working. I don't know where to feed it. And with my budgies, it's like they often, I think I have the feeling they would like to do it for me. And then they also realize, nah, that's not working. And then they run to the other budgie and feed that instead.
Yeah, they can learn over time that the human isn't going to accept it. So they may just start holding back on actually regurgitating it all. But I'd watch just to make sure your bird isn't sick. But if it could be just that you walked into the room. So
yeah, because she says she doesn't think it was mating because he was by himself on his tree stand, but it may be that because he saw you come in, that could still be
or
mating.
Is there is the bird mating with a toy in the cage? Is the bird near a toy while it was doing it? See, that's another thing.
And if it doesn't repeat over time, if it's just one incident in a time, can it also be that just the bird had I don't know, maybe a feeling something is itchy in the crop or so, and therefore kind of make that movement to
could be that too. Yeah, so many different things it can be.
Yeah,
but the main thing is to watch out for recurrence and then check the poop too, because if your bird is sick and it's doing that kind of vomiting type of behavior, not regurgitating, but trying to throw something up when it's actually because it's ill, then you'll see that in the poop. The poop will change. And keep in mind, you have to take the average for the day. Don't just assume that one bad poop means that they're not going to be okay, because even we have quite a bit of variation in how we go. And theirs all comes out in one. So if they're nervous, they may not have as much of the clear liquid in there. If they've been like high anxiety, it will keep them from having as much urine. Sometimes they won't drink enough. So there'll be variations in their poop, but basically you should have all three elements, and you should have about equal amounts of all three. So you have that white liquid, which is it's either white or almond colored, which is the uric acid, and then there's I'm not saying that right. There's the urine, which is clear. There's the uric acid, which comes out the milky color. And then there's the urates. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Thank you. And then there's the poop that should come out in a tubular form. So if the feces is broken up, if the hard stuff comes out and it's not in a tubular form, it's a mash. That's diarrhea. If you have a whole bunch of extra water, and this is consistent through the day, not just one time. So if they keep like showing a whole bunch of the clear liquid, and they got a problem with their liver usually, and you need to get them into the vet right away. Because unlike us, they can bypass their liver and go straight to the kidneys. So if there's something wrong with the liver, they can stay alive for a couple more days. But like I say, it's just a couple more days.
Bob.
Why are you laughing, Bob? That's not funny.
Well, it's because Cecil walked by with a piece of wood. He's laughing at Cecil.
Okay, that's
all right. Okay, it's not laughing at the prospect of people dying.
No,
okay,
no, he wasn't. Good. He was looking at Cecil. Yeah, he will be upset with me later because when we're done, I have to take them out and then bring them back in later because I've got their mask for the week is out there and I got to finish it. I got to put once it gets cool enough, I got to add the pellets to it. And I have my soup for the week, which has to get finished. And I have the dishes because I had to do all that in one day, along with feeding them this morning. So usually I get a lot done, but I just had a lot to do. And then I still have to place an order with Costco for some peanut butter and things like that. And their coconut oil, which is what I cook with for them. All right, little girl. All right. What? Oh, God, look. How dare you stop petting my beak? How dare you stop petting my beak?
That's not allowed. Sugar makes wine chocolate out of you if you don't continue.
So Lisa says he was sliding his beak on the paneling like playing. Then I went outside after I put him on the tree stand. When I came back in, he was trying to regurgitate. So it might be he was doing something like what Cecil does when he plays with the toy and then like regurgitates a little bit on it to play with that.
Could be. Yeah, they do that. It's fairly common behavior. No clue why they do it, but I've seen several birds do it, and Cecil does it fairly regularly.
Yeah. So he's probably fine, but keep a good eye on him just to make sure.
Yep. And making sure that the weight doesn't go down and that the poop looks good, on consistently. Not consistently, but on average through the day. You should have, if you've got 10 poops, and they poop a lot more than that, but you've got 10 of them, 5 of them should look good, at least. So. Yes, you can become a poopologist. Isn't it a great thing, At least we're not studying bugs and monkey poop or something like that. All right. I was trying to think, what's the name of it? I don't watch TV, but George R.R. Martin written, what's that?
Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. I read that. I didn't actually read it. I listened to it, right? And it was a good reader and all that, but I wouldn't listen to it again. I think I'm on my third time through on something that's along the same vein, you would say. The Codex Alera by Jim Butcher. I don't know, because I just while I'm washing dishes and stuff, I'm on it's a 6-book set. Most of them are about 14 hours, 15 hours long. And I just read it from the library on my phone. I'm on my 3rd time through over the last couple of years. And I wasn't that impressed with the Game of Thrones, to tell you the truth. But I really like the Codex Alera. I mean, the characters are great. They have a lot of depth to them. And you watch them. Even the bad ones get worse, the good ones get better, and he does a great job of characterization. It would make a great series, but I'm sure they'd screw it up.
Yeah, that's the problem with the TV series.
And it's
of Game of Thrones. I also won't read the book because it's not kind of that fiction I prefer, but I watched a bit of the series in TV, and it was like, that's probably the only thing I say, oh my gosh, I wasted lifetime with.
Yeah. Well, they have a great reader for the book too. I never have time to actually pick up on the book and read it, unless it's a book on parrots that I need to read. But Kay Reading, she does the voices in that thing, and there's these wolf people, they call it Carnum, and she does those. You can tell exactly who's speaking when she does it. She does the men's voices and the women's voices. I mean, perfectly. And what an excellent narrator. But yeah, and I've gone through it, and the people seem real too. Their whole, they have, the good people have their faults. The bad people generally have at least some redeeming features in the beginning. even at the end of their lives, they sometimes have can show some humanity. But yeah, I wouldn't even listen to the Game of Thrones again. And they made a whole big deal of that. And Codex Alera is just a lot more fun. Now they're all named Fury this and Fury that, Captain's Fury and Princeps Fury and all, but it has nothing to do with the word we use as Fury. These are like spirits that exist in the land, and everybody has who's like a human being there has one of these to help them. And there are fire furies and water furies and air furies and yeah, I'm impressed with that set of books, but not impressed with like Game of Thrones. I got through it the first time. Like, okay, boring. But when you're washing dishes, you have to have something to listen to.
We got a suggestion for you from Mel. She says, or he, I'm sorry, I don't know. You like podcasts? I suggest Old Gods of Appalachia, great characters in storytelling.
Cool. I'll have to. I'm not sure I can remember that. I mean, I can sort of right now, but somebody remind me about that, and I'll see if I can get that from the library. I'm still connected to the San Diego Library, so I just keep renting my books from there I get them for free. That's the nice thing. But I'd gladly pay for Jim Butcher's stat because I know I'll probably listen to it. If I live another 10 years, there's a big if. If I live another 10 years, I'll probably listen to it another 4 times.
Oh, bless you.
Sweet.
Yeah, the problem with most books, there's a good book about parrots too. I'm not about parrots, but good book. But oh, come on, I got to think of it now. Unfortunately, I lost that book. I have to get it again. I had a signed copy. Why can't I? Oh, Stuart Metz wrote it. It's about a cockatoo. It's great. A great little book. But not like people write about cockatoos much. Writing about, there's occasionally a parrot in a story here or there, but
Well, let's start a kid's book, The Adventures of Bobaloo Triton.
Oh yeah,
I
think Bob can fill a book with his adventures.
Bob, you want to be in a book? Bob?
He won't read a book.
This is why he's so territorial here, is because he's got this spot and he's nesting in it. I've tried to break him of that so many times, but he always ends up getting another block of wood and going up here.
I mean, he's been nesting. He's been nesting on right there since you got him, practically.
Yeah. Yep, I know.
Like, you're not gonna stop him.
No. They would make a good part of a story, though. Blend that into a story. My high school English, my last high school English teacher was Mrs. Luth. She was telling me how I was going to grow up to be a great novelist, but she didn't know about my memory issues. So it's hard for me to characterize people, and I certainly don't keep images of people in my head. So. Of course, that's after she threatened to flunk me from the class because she said I stole a story from someone else, but I wrote it.
No, that's the worst kind of teacher.
She was great. She was a wonderful teacher. She made me write it. She said, okay. She sat me down at a table after everybody had left the class. She's keeping me for my next class. She goes, write me a, in less than a page, write a story about a frog. So I wrote a story about a frog, and she looked at it, and she looked at me, and she goes, "Okay, you wrote that other story, but." She said it looked like an adult wrote the story because how old was I? I was 10th grade. So it looked like an adult wrote the story, and I went back and changed all the names to kids' names. That's what she thought I did.
I think if Cecil wrote a book, it would be a joke book.
Oh, it'd have, yeah, but have some compassion in it. Certainly be some wood chewing in it.
Mm. And Peaches would write a self-help book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob. Oh, that's what
work out with Peach.
how to make
better.
friends. Yeah, make friends, get fit, and build a career as a YouTuber.
Just being gorgeous all the time.
Hey, Bob. Now you're looking for people and you're seeing yourself on the phone. That throws you, doesn't it? Him and his distaste.
Oh no, you are talking to the Bob and Wolf of the past or the parallel universe. That's not allowed.
Oh, that must be creepy.
Yeah, it's like Carol Ann looking at the TV going, "They're here." Like some of those tribes where if you took they wouldn't let you take the picture of them because they thought it stole their soul.
Sneezies.
Which I think, and there's probably a lot of people are running around with about that level of thought, capability of thought in the world these days. Probably not in places like Africa, more in places like the United States, but especially when I talk to people, locally, well, not so much locally, but over the years in the US on the internet about parrots, you try to explain something like there's no territoriality, and well, I know there is because I saw this bird do this, this, and this. So just what you see does not mean that's what it is. I've never seen a bird, I said territorial, I'm talking about dominance. I've never seen a bird ever show dominance. But I have seen Mander run away from a 425-gram umbrella cockatoo.
Is that attack Oz or attack Simone?
That was Simone. Oh, he would just run away. He'd be running away going, literally making a sound like, ah! And she'd be chasing after him. I could fix that today, but I'd only taken Dr. Friedman's course up to that point. I learned I put together things better after I had a second course in ABA. So I should say that was my third course in ABA, but because I took Dr. Friedman's course, I took the free course after I took the paid for course. But I had a astrophysicist in Italy marking my papers and not letting me get away with anything the second time, so that really stuck. I'm glad I did it. I had to convince her that there was a good reason to do it, though. Here comes Bob waddling along on his toy.
Gosh, he's so cute.
Yes,
well, Spirit Matter just got here. Hello, Spirit Matter. I'm afraid you're here just as we're about to shut this thing down, but it's nice to see you.
Yeah. Well, you can watch the replay. Nice to have you try to get here, though. Hey, Bob.
Is that a cardboard cup that he's got?
No. And actually, I'm not sure what it's made out of. I think it's made out of something natural, but like some kind of a seed pod.
Interesting.
I like playing with them. I get them from a wholesaler. Got to buy more. Sell more of those to buy. I got a bunch of wood for them, but I need to buy more of the other things. The little woven baskets and these things they like to chew on, and I need to buy him some more balls. I I can make those last for a while, but you like them when they're fresh too. And don't forget, guys, that we do have a bunch of merch out there that Amy has put together, and it's good stuff. I have a peach shirt.
We've got a new section. It's called Flock Summer, and it has some really stylish beach towels, so, and flip-flops. And I try to add more summer stuff like, bags or whatever one can use. Or if you have suggestions, just put it in the comments so I can see them.
Yep, I'm going to be buying some more merchandise too, but most people who do podcasting, or video casting like this, they'll wear some of it. If I put on my peach shirt, it'll be ruined. There's no way. I can't put a hat on. I might be able to take a cup in here, but I'm not quite sure where I'd put it down. I can't wear the merch, but in here anyway, but I wear it when I go out, Of course, now when I go out, the number one thing people talk to me about, it's gonna get hot soon. And they're saying that when it's like
my Lucy's hilarious. Look at that leggies. They're a little bit short compared to the shuggy ones, but she can stretch if she wants to.
Yeah, she's trying.
Oh, she's going to be upset with me because she's getting ready to come over, and I've got to go. I've got to put them up for a little while and put them back out because I still have all that food out there. I got to finish preparing. This is one of those mornings. I had more things to do. Yeah, I start the morning by airing the place out, putting hurricane fans in this window over here and the one in the back. And then when that's blown through and when the temperature and the humidity drops quite a bit, then I have to shut that down and I have to get the humidifier going. And then, all that while I'm trying to, cook their food. And this morning I had that plus their mash base I had to make for the next week, plus my own soup, because I got to start taking care of myself better because I take care of them. So I'm making my magic soup. Yeah, that's what everybody else called it. I don't know. It was just my soup, but I was living at this one place with just Chloe. That's this one that was just me and Chloe. And I had just gone through a divorce, and my buddy says, can I try some of that soup? Next thing I know, I've got 4 big crock pots all going all day, 3 days a week to make soup for myself and a bunch of other people. They bought me the stuff to make the soup, and I made it because it was just as easy to make 4 big crock pots as one. But and they all called it Don's Magic Soup.
Well, Michelle says that she loves the bird in the channel, and Don, who is freaking amazing, and I'm sure if she could taste your soup, she would love the soup too.
Oh, thank you.
And GTH wants to know what size of hardwood balls is best for your birds. Is that double
inches?
Inches.
Yeah.
1 inch or 2 inches?
1.5 or 2. Either one. 1.5 is probably just about the right size, but I'll go for 2. Cecil can split a 2-inch ball, can't you? Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Don't forget about our merch. I forget to mention some of the important things, and anybody wants to
in chat so everyone can have a look if one wants. So feel free to stalk us.
We do have a Patreon as well. It's just Patreon/Chloe Sanctuary for those who want to donate monthly. We also have membership here on YouTube. So. Well, thank you all for being here, and I'm going to, they're not going to be happy with me. They've only been here in an hour. I'm going to have to take these guys out so I can finish my work. Unfortunately, they don't do well by themselves in here. They will start some kind of a problem, especially Bob. I might be able to leave them alone in here, but I'm not taking the chance. I had a camera. If I had 2 cameras in here, I might do it.
Spirit says, does Don's magic soup contain mushrooms?
No comment.
No. In fact, the only mushrooms I did like were the magic mushroom type things. I'm not much for mushrooms. I only had mushrooms in my life one time where I liked them, and it was a friend of mine who was from. Come on, brain. Oh, the Mexican side of California. Can't think of it. Cabo San Lucas, and his wife made these mushrooms. She'd stuffed them, and I'm like, oh no. She brings these nice and toasty mushrooms that are stuffed. She goes, "Gotta try one of those." Right? Okay, well, they were good. They were something else. They were amazing, and but that's the only time I really enjoyed them. So my soup has it even has rutabagas in it. I mean, I put a lot of different stuff in there, but I think the key is beets. If you put beets in there, that really does something to help the flavor. So I put in at least 3 beets into my soup, and I make about 1.5 gallons when I make it, and it lasts me about 3 days. So, okay, folks, I don't want to keep my moderators from getting their sleep. So we will
I
see
need to get
you.
going.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Eleanor, and thanks, Anna Marie. We will see you on Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. We'll see them on Monday.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Oh well. Oh boy. Well, I'm at least 90%, 95% of what I used to be. I'm still 5% missing, right, Cecil? Okay. We'll see you next Monday. Bye.
Bye, everyone.